Hey guys, it's Dani here and welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about something that you actually can't find anywhere else because it's something that's coming from personal experience that I think is going to be of great help to you. And it's all about how lessons and messages come in threes. So keep watching because I'm going to keep discussing more of what it is. But before we get into the video, make sure to click the subscribe button down below if you haven't already and hit that bell so you're notified every single time I post a new video. And with that being said, let's get into the video now. Something that I noticed on my personal journey, which I never heard from anyone, I never read it anywhere, it was something that I purely experienced for myself, and it was something that like a pattern that kept occurring to me that I assumed if it's happening to me, it must be happening to other people, whether people are aware of it or not. But I kind of began to have this awareness of this pattern of threes. And I want to share it with you guys today because it's helped me be able to understand like lessons I need to learn, messages I need to integrate within my being. And I've shared this with a lot of people and with a lot of friends who have started to notice a similar thing but weren't necessarily aware that it was coming in threes, or you know, that there was some sort of like repetition or pattern happening. So that's kind of what this video is all about, and I think that this is going to be really helpful for you because I know it allowed me to be able to understand things on a much quicker level when I saw this pattern. So basically, when we are meant to receive a message, or there's a kind of like a higher lesson which would come from like our higher self or through that mirror of other people, like other people telling us some information, it's like always coming from ourselves, from our souls. And this will come around 3 times. You know, something that I personally experienced was that messages repeat 3 times in order for us to learn. So I'm not saying that every lesson has to come around 3 times and like you can't integrate it the first time it comes around. I just think that if you haven't integrated it the first time, the second time, it's going to come around a 3rd time. And I noticed for myself that at the 3rd time, the message usually wouldn't repeat, it wouldn't come around again. But I think that it needed the 3 times for us to be able to integrate it. To give you a very clear example, it may come through in like a friend recommending a book, and then another person will come and be like, oh, hey, you should check out this book. And then like the 3rd time it might come around and it's like you see this like the ad for the book pop up somewhere, you're walking past a bookshop and they've got like this book is in the window and you're like, oh, how weird, of all the books it's like this is the one. I know this can tend to be called coincidences and things like that, but I've said in a previous video and I'm going to say it again, I personally do not believe in coincidences. I only believe in synchronicity, and that's because I do believe that life is like a game, and it's kind of like we get given all these like different pieces that help us along our way. So it's like we have like different puzzle pieces that we take and it'll open up to like a new path or a new direction. And then things like messages or books or divination tools like tarot and all this stuff, it's kind of like if you imagine in a video game, there's like the character and he's got like a satchel and he like collects things and stores them in his satchel for like later on when he needs them. So it's like having these books or these like tools or these crystals and things like that. They're kind of like these little like aids to life that we use to help fasten our journey. But we tend to use these little tools like books or like self-help books in order to help us understand ourselves, our lives and things like that. So I think that with this message, the messages coming in 3s, I started to notice that this would come a lot through book recommendations, like quotes. And I want to share a personal experience that I had about 2 days ago with this exact topic, what I'm talking about. So I was on Instagram, and this guy that I follow on Instagram posted a page of a book on his story, and it was like some sort of spiritual book. It resonated with me, and I remember being like, oh, I want to read this book. So he told me the name of this book, had never heard of it before. The next day I was on Facebook Marketplace. I was looking for like a lady's vintage bike, you know, with the basket. So I was like looking on Marketplace to buy a bike, and a thought popped into my head of like, oh, what if I just like search spirituality? And I was scrolling and there were like all these different books, and I was looking through all these different ones, and I randomly clicked on this one ad, and this person had all these books, like 5 different photos of different pages of like different books. The very last page was this book that this guy had recommended. Those were 2 messages that I was getting, that maybe this book, I have something to learn from this book. So it's always about that. When these messages come, it's like we have something to learn from these messages. And I'm not saying it has to come 3 times, but I think that at the 3-point mark is when it starts to integrate within your being. And different people kept recommending the same book to you. Eventually you'd probably be like, oh, I might read that book because 3 people have now recommended it to me. It's the same with TV shows. Like if someone recommends a TV show and then another person does, and then another person does, you're probably going to be curious to know what this TV show is all about. So this can come in so many different forms, like seeing animals like 3 times, or like a book, a movie, a quote, like a spiritual teacher, like just things being repeated to you 3 times is a sign that it's a message for you. And it's like, if you choose not to integrate it, I do think it will eventually come back around another time. But so many people that I've told this about, because this is just something that I noticed as a pattern for myself, I like tell my friends, like they're like, oh, it's so weird, this happened twice. And I'm like, oh, it's going to come around one more time before you like learn the lesson or you learn the message. And so I just think that this is something that other people can use to help themselves, because if you have noticed that there's been some sort of like message or quote that keeps popping up for you, then there's something for you to take from it. It's the same with songs. If the same song keeps popping up, I don't mean like typical pop songs on the radio, but you know, like if something just keeps appearing, if you're able to recognize that that's not like normal, like that's really weird or really strange that it keeps popping up, then that's a sign or a message for you to integrate that and like look more into it as well. And I know for myself, since recognizing this, when I'm like, okay, it's come up 3 times, okay, I really need to like pay attention now. It's really like your higher self, your spirit guides, like your self is like being reflected. Like I know this, I said this earlier, but it really is like that mirror concept. It is you telling yourself like, hey, pay attention, this is for you. So that's just what I wanted to share with you guys today, because I just think that's super interesting. I know that I've experienced it a ton and I still continue to experience it, but it was really, really prevalent more at the start of my spiritual journey, or like when I became more aware of it. And it was like once I became aware, I was able to really be like, okay, there's a message this person has now told me multiple times, or it's coming from multiple people. I must read this book, I must watch this movie. You know, if you are watching this video and if you felt drawn to this video, then you either have experienced this in the past and you know what I'm talking about, or you are currently experiencing this, and if so, I really hope it resonates for you. And thirdly, if you are watching this, then you are probably headed into this direction where you're going to begin to experience this, because we can only receive information on the frequency that we're on. So if you're watching this, that means that you are ready to receive this information, you are ready to hear this, and this is a message from yourself being channeled through me for you to hear. So I really hope that, you know, this video has helped you in some way, or helps you to understand and start to notice those little synchronicities that very subtly come into play, but it's really our higher self, the spirit guides, the greater universe kind of sending you a message and trying to remind you that, hey, there's something here for you, pay attention, because we are talking to you. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and click that subscribe button down below, as I said earlier, if you haven't already. I want to hear about some of your stories and what you guys have experienced or are currently experiencing. So if you guys resonate with this, and you know, if this is something that you've noticed for yourself and you're able to recognize, or it's, you know, something that you're currently going through, then leave a comment down below, because I want to hear what it is. And I want you guys to share with me, like, how has this played out for you? What messages have come in 3s for you that you are now going to be able to recognize and like, okay, it's coming in 3s, pay attention. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.